Hey gang, and welcome to our Fortunate to Know You class, take 2. Hopefully this time the cameras are going to cooperate with us. So today we are going to be playing with this Fortunate to Know You stamp set. It's a really fun stamp set that's coming out in the new Occasions catalog, and you can get more information on the Occasions catalog, the upcoming Celebration catalog, and all the current sales on my blog at the link in this video's description. And I'm just gonna go recap real quick in case you missed this on take 1, and that is, oh, and you know what else? That is the giveaways. And I just want to, while I'm telling you about the giveaways at the same time, I just want to make sure I go back to Facebook and repin this video so that those of you that were on the previous one can find it. So if you're live right now and you leave a comment, and you do need to re-leave a comment. If you left it on the last one, I don't have it anymore. So re-leave a comment on this one. And if you leave a comment here, you will be entered into this drawing to win either the half full stamp set or the Amazing You is live, and the half full is, this is the after live. So all comments will be entered to all these. I'll draw these two at the end of this this class, and the half full after live I'll draw on January 5th. And if you share this broadcast, this one, and leave a comment in the broadcast saying that you shared it, I will enter you a second time into the drawing. Okay, so, oh good, I'm just double checking to make sure that we're up there. I'm going to pin that so that everybody can find us, that I lost on the first one, and I am really, really sorry. I thought I had all of these technical difficulties worked out. But we're able to get back on here live. Hopefully we are able to get going with the class, which I'm going to jump right into now. Okay, can you guys see me okay? I'm just making sure that the screens actually change on us. So we're going to be playing with the Fortunate to Know You stamp set, and oh good, okay. I'm watching to make sure that the screens actually change this time. Thank you. Not sure what happened there. So this is what we're going to be making. Here's the super cute stamp set. We call it the Fortune Cookie stamp set because it's just so flippin' adorable, right? So it's got the little fortune cookie, the little takeout box. Now this will be available on January 3rd to customers, and it's available now to demonstrators. Again, more information on my stampwithtami.com blog. And these are the cards that we're going to be making. So this is card 1. These are glossy card stock. And I'm going to be teaching you some masking techniques. We're going to be doing the brighter one today. We're going to do the bright one today. I'm going to be teaching you some masking, this cool background sponging technique for this card, for card number 1. And then for card number 2, we'll be doing some coloring with the Stampin Blends and some more masking. So a couple of masking techniques going on here, some coloring techniques, some very fun and easy cards today. They're great for, these are particularly, I used the birthday stamp in this one, but you know, the heart in this little box makes it also good for Valentine's Day, which is great because that's coming up, and I know a lot of us are looking for ideas there. So I'm going to start with card number 1, and in case you missed this on the first one, if you're new to my videos, and I do apologize for the technical difficulties, just when you think you got them all fixed, bam, something else happens. Just roll with it. That's what, that's what I've learned. Just roll with it. I have a free PDF on my blog here for you guys. It has pictures of the cards that we're making today. It's got all the measurements that you need. So if you're purchasing this after January 3rd when it comes out, and you want to remake some of these cards, and you want to go back and watch this video again to see the techniques, or you need the supply list, which is also on here for both cards, you can simply go back to this URL. That's my direct link to the resource page, which I have for every video that I do to help you out. And it's also, you can get there by your phone on the smart code. You can download this free PDF by clicking on the link in this video's description, and there's a place here for notes for you guys. Okay, so we're going to get started with card number 1, which is the glossy card stock. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit so you can get a really good view here. So I've got some real red, some basic black, and some glossy white. All of the supplies that I'm using today are available in my online store. Just again, you can get to that from the link in this video's description. And I've got all the measurements there, so I've pre-cut these. So what we're going to do here is we're gonna stamp, and I've taken the fortune cookie, the words, and the box here. These 3 stamps. And I'm just going to grab out a little piece of scrap paper because I do plan on going off the edge here. So I don't have any grid paper handy. I'm using the archival black on here because I do prefer this on the glassy cardstock. On the next card, I'm actually going to be using the tuxedo black. So there's two different blacks that we're using, and I'll explain why when we get to the next card. But for the glossy cardstock, I do prefer this. Okay. Janet says, thanks for keeping her entertained while she's traveling to her mom's. Oh, Merry Christmas, Janet, and I am here for you. Me and my technology and my lack of knowledge of that technology and all of our oops are here to entertain you. All right, I think we're a little too close, so let's back up just a hair. Okay, so we're going to take that box, that fortune cookie box, and we're going to stamp it right smack dab in the center of the glossy white cardstock. Also, just a note on this glossy white, I do find it takes a hair longer to dry than the regular white, than like Whisper White. So give it a second or two. I mean, it's not long. It really isn't long. It's less than a minute. But just so you know, if you run your finger over it right away, like it dries instantly on Whisper White. You can smear anything over it immediately and it would be fine. But on glossy, you got to give it a couple of seconds before you go smearing your fingers over it. Okay, so this fortune cookie, oh my gosh, I don't know if you guys saw, last week I was making swap cards with this stamp set. It's on my blog, there's a picture of it. I was stamping away, and you know, when I'm making swap cards, I'm making a lot at once, so I'm stamping away in the black. And I had open the other ink pads that I'm about to use. I had Daffodil open next to the black, and I just went right smack dab in the middle of my Daffodil Delight and ended up with a beautiful tattoo of what somebody said looks like Pac-Man. And just so you know, if this ever happens to you, all is not lost. All you need to do is blot your ink pad with a paper towel and get the ink off of it, the ink that's in that pad, and then re-ink it, and it's fine. It's totally fine, and it's tattooed, and you'll always be able to identify it in a crowd. Oh, it cracked me up, though. Okay, so I have stamped our fortune cookie kind of randomly, and I did intentionally go off the edge there. And now we're going to do a little bit of masking. So I've got that Daffodil Delight that I just opened. I'm going to open a little pumpkin pie and some soft suede. So there's 3 ink pad colors, and those are all listed on my resource page and on the PDF. So now we're going to do a little bit of masking before we add the color to this. Okay. Yeah, Sandy says, booey on those gremlins that keep messing with our videos. Amen, sister. You know what? I think someone's got a voodoo doll. Oh, that's all right. It actually makes it kind of fun. It's always interesting. And hey, you guys know how to find me now, right? Hopefully the new year, this will all be worked out. We'll have it all fixed by then. I got the mic back. You probably didn't notice that, but there's no background noise anymore. We got the mic back. The cameras are all working again. Did you notice we were able to schedule this time too? Yeah. So I'm pretty excited about that. Things are looking up. So, you know, we still got a couple things to work out. We can get there. All right, so I'm go ahead and I'm putting these masks down without even telling you what I did. I went and I stamped those same stamps on some. These are just Post-it notes. They're literally just Post-it notes, the same ones I use to identify when the drawing is coming. And I stamped them on the sticky part. So there's a little bit of that fortune cookie on the sticky part, and then I'm just cutting these out. And I am going inside. I'm sloppy too. You're not really going to see these masks later, so it doesn't matter how well they're cut out. I'm trying to go inside the line, inside that line, because I want it to be really tight on our card. And I've already pre-cut and stamped the words that I'm putting on there too. Okay. So we'll cut that out. Now, if your Post-it note is really sticky, kind of tap the back to get some of that sticky off. Because I find that if that residue is still on the glossy, it will have a little bit of an effect when we go to color in later. So just make sure, you want it to be a tiny little bit tacky, but you don't want it to be too tacky. Okay, so the box, again, I'm going inside the lines and I'm cutting that top right off. I don't care about the top. I don't care if that gets color on it. So I'm cutting that right off. We only want the box here. We only want to mask out our box. Okay. And I intentionally used these bright Post-it notes so that you can see them here. And it looks like I need one more fortune cookie. I wanted you to be able to see them on the glossy. Okay, so I'm just stamping one more down here. I was making swap cards and I had white Post-it notes. These are bright fluorescent colored, but the ones that I was using were white. And then I couldn't tell if the mask was actually on the card. And I was like, oh, I'm like, it's confusing a little bit. So this time I intentionally used these fluorescent Posties so I wouldn't get confused and so that you could actually see it on here. Okay. So now we're going to start by masking our background. So I've got Daffodil Delight Pumpkin Pie here, and these are sponge daubers. And I'm a lefty, so I'm going to do this with my left hand. And you're going to be a lefty while you're watching. If you're a righty, welcome to Lefty World. So I'm just going to go ahead and tap this down in the yellow, which I've already re-inked since I had my little accident there with the fortune cookie. And by now, this black ink should be good and dry on our glossy. Again, that only takes a couple extra seconds. So we're just going to go ahead and ink that up. I go both in a, I rub it on there, but then I also went in a little circular motion and then kind of, for a darker, deeper color, just kind of tapped it on there. So it gives you a little bit of gradient, you know, so there's darker sections, lighter sections. You want to be a little bit gentle around the Post-it note there so that it doesn't peel up on you. You want your mask to stay down. You don't want anyone to see underneath until after Halloween. Oh, it's Christmas. Oh, silly. We don't wear masks on Christmas. Okay, but we are doing a masking technique. Hi, Dominic. Hi, Sabrina. Sabrina and her grandson are on. We love that little Dominic. He's such a little cutie. Okay, so we'll get the whole background done here. And then I'm going to go over it a little bit, dabbing on some extra to make it nice and bright. So it's going to look something similar to this. And I've got a couple really, if you can really see the sponge dauber mark, I'm just going to work that out a little bit. I'm going to push this up a hair so you can see all the way down. There you go. All right, I want you to be able to see close enough that you can see what I'm doing, but also at the same time, I don't want to be off the I don't want to be off the screen on you. Okay, so now I'm taking the pumpkin pie dauber, and I have like a whole set of colors of these sponge daubers. They're really inexpensive. They're in my online store, so I do try to keep one for, you know, each color. And then I'm just kind of randomly dabbing on this pumpkin pie. I'm not going over the whole thing with the pumpkin pie though. See how it gets a little darker there? You get a little gradient, and it's just really, really pretty. It's a very cool technique. Super easy to do, too. Hi, everyone that just came on. Yeah, yes, Tammy, I know you probably just popped on. You didn't hear me tell my story about what happened to my poor little ink pad. I didn't do this today, mind you, but I did do it making this card. I was making these for a swap. And, yeah, whoops, see, there I just tapped. This Daffodil Delight is doomed. I just tapped my pumpkin pie in there, meaning to get pumpkin pie ink, and I just put the sponge dauber in there. Poor Daffodil Delight. There's no hope for that. That's okay. Like I said, if you're late coming on, just if you ever do that, if you ever accidentally stamp a dark color and a light color ink pad, don't worry about it. Just dab it out with a paper towel, re-ink it with your re-inker, and you're totally fine. Okay, so now we're going to take our masks off. And we are left with this really cool background. I love it. Isn't that awesome? All right, so now I've got one little piece here. My fortune cookie probably wasn't, my mask wasn't on there straight probably, so I'm just going to get that real quick. And I'm not going to throw these out because I'm going to use one of them on the next card. And if you were making, like I did these for swaps, so I had a whole bunch of these. If you were making a whole bunch of cards at once, what I did was I did all the stamping, did all the masking because I was doing these for swap cards, and then, you know, was just reusing the masks, using the same mask over and over. All right, now it's time for some soft suede. So I've got my soft suede dauber, just going to dab that in there and just rub that on the fortune cookie. And that is going to give us our little brown fortune cookie Love it. This would also, like I had mentioned this earlier, this would make a really good on Valentine's Day. And if you guys have noticed, I've started doing a lot of sneak peeks on my blog, because I post daily on my blog ideas for you guys, and on Facebook. And somebody posted yesterday, they said, oh no, it's too soon, because I get it, I'm there with the Christmas rush. But on the flip side, there's a lot of gals both in my team and a lot of you who have been doing Christmas cards since August and got them done early and are already planning Valentine's Day. So I got to have ideas there I got to have a balance for everybody. And, you know, I'm really excited to play with new stuff. So I also want to get the ideas out there and hopefully get your juices flowing, get some ideas in there for you. So yeah, in the crafting industry, we are usually a holiday ahead. We are like the department stores that get that push them. They do push them too soon, but here in the crafting world, we kind of need to. It takes us time. So this, again, a really fun idea for the holidays. So then I'm taking two Stampin' Right markers here. I've got Real Red for the heart in the middle. Somebody's asking, how does the glossy paper differ from photo paper? It takes this type of ink much better. I've tried to do some of these techniques when I was first starting on photo paper, and it didn't hold the same. It didn't look the same. It just wasn't the same. This is actually made for this type of ink. So you can try it, but it depends on what techniques you're doing with it. It's not going to look quite the same. Brayering definitely did not look the same either. And beyond that, I'm not sure the specifics of why that is. Probably I should know. Sorry, I don't. But I do know I've tried it and it didn't look awesome. Okay, so this right here was the basic gray. So I've got a basic gray and I've got a Real Red marker that I just used to finish off that box with and really just make it pop. It's so awesome. All right, so now all we have left on this card is just a little bit of assembly. Oh, thank you guys. You're awesome. All right, I've got some snail. This is all just going to be a little bit of snail assembly here. Oh, we'll leave that there. So I've got a layer of basic black, and then we're going to layer that on a Real Red card base, and that's just going to pull that red heart. It's just going to make it all pull together and just pop out. I love that all the colors coordinate and match. It just makes such a difference. When you put it all together, it looks so professional. Even if you mess it up, it still looks, you know, it really pulls it all together. So that is our masking and glossy cardstock. And I just wanted to show you a tip real quick. I was talking about the Post-it notes and making sure you get a little sticky on them, but making sure they're not too sticky. Maybe tap it with your fingers a little bit. The reason why is because when I made one of my first cards, can you see this right here? That is sticky residue, because my sticky note was really sticky, and the sticky stayed on the glossy cardstock a little bit, so it gave you that little bit of texture where it was. It still looks cool. It kind of goes with the fortune cookie, but learn from my mistakes. Take some of that sticky off before you put it down, before you start your masking, and then that won't happen. All right, so that is card number 1 with the glossy cardstock. Now card number 2, we're going to be creating. This one is using the Stampin' Blend markers. And a lot of fun. I love these markers. So they are going to be featured in the Occasions catalog, but they did release earlier than the Occasions catalog. So these markers are available now, even though the stamp set isn't going to be available until January 3rd. And if you haven't received your Occasions catalog in the mail from me yet, you can simply click on the link in this description and click on the catalog page and let me know, and I will get you one. So, I've got all this pre-cut. Again, the measurements are on that free PDF on my blog. We are going to start with our stamping. And that also is going to require some masking. But before we get started, I am using a different black ink here. I did prefer the archival when I was using the glossy cardstock, but because we're using Stampin' Blends on this one, we actually need the Memento, because and I used to know the reason for this. Somebody's going to have to throw it out there for me, but it's because they are alcohol markers, and you cannot use an alcohol ink with alcohol markers because two positives don't, you know, when you got your magnets, they don't connect. So the ink doesn't, it smears if you don't use this Memento ink. So I'm going with that. I'm pretty sure that was the reason, but somebody can throw it out there because I'm feeling kind of all of a sudden I'm like, I'm feeling kind of blank. Why the heck? But there is a reason, and I have tried it before, and it doesn't work awesome. So make sure you use the Memento ink when you're using your Stampin' Blends. Okay, I'm going to clean off my stamp before I do this, and that is with the, I'm just taking my Stampin' Scrub, because it had it has the archival on it now, so I'm just going to wash that off so we can get started with the Memento. And if you're not familiar with this little guy, this is a really old one, but we sell we sell these in the online store. Cheapest washer and dryer you'll ever own. Right there. Keep your stamps clean. They last longer. Alright, so we got a little Memento ink here. Thank you, Rachel says they don't bleed when you use Memento. That I did learn. The science behind it I didn't retain, but that I did learn the hard way by using archival with the blends. It's like, why isn't this working? And then I learned you were not supposed to use that ink. Okay, so I'm stamping the box down. We're going to stamp one fortune cookie. And then I'm going to take one of these leftover masks. Bobby, you're funny. She says, because Tami said so. Oh, and you know what? Most of the time it's, you know, like, it's because I learned from watching Tami's mistakes. So I'm taking one of these masks that I used previously and putting that on the fortune cookie that we just stamped, and then stamping another one directly over it. And this is going to give us our layered fortune cookie, so we have one on top of the other. So there's another quick little masking technique, another quick, easy way to use the masks. And while I have the Memento out, we are going to stamp one more. And that is the words here. And they say you're going to have an amazing birthday. And that wasn't awesome, so I'm going to do another one. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. Normally I would have had my paper snips handy, but I don't, so I've got to use these big ribbon scissors that, that I do have handy. And I'm just going to cut out here, and then this side here, I'm actually going inside the line, just on the side where the Y is for the birthday. And then I'm going to go really tight on the outside, because this is the fortune for the fortune cookie, and it's going to stick out of the fortune cookie when we're done. Okay. And just trim that off. Alright, so we'll just put that aside, and now we are ready to start coloring. Now, when you're coloring with your Stampin' Blends, I'm bringing that piece of scrap paper back in because the blends are very juicy and they are made to bleed through. They are supposed to. It's part of the rich color and part of how they work. So I want some scrap paper underneath there to protect our table underneath. The colors that I'm using here are the same tangerine. No, this is Calypso Coral. Sorry, not tangerine. Calypso Coral. There's two Stampin' Blends. These are alcohol markers to a set. So there's dark and there's light. So I've got Daffodil Delight and I've got Calypso Coral, both dark and light. And this I've got Smoky Slate, dark and light. And then this is my little secret weapon here. This is the ivory one, and I'll show you why that's my secret weapon in a minute. And another thing that you need in your blends arsenal, this is a must-have, is the color lifter. So I'll show you some tricks with both of those in just a second. The first thing we're going to do is some basic coloring. So I'm starting with the Calypso Coral. I'm using the brush tip end of both of these, the light and the dark. And you can purchase these as a set. You can purchase them individually. People have been asking, do they come with refills? They don't yet, but they don't really need to, because you can buy a new marker and they're really inexpensive. I mean, as far as, you know, like the refill would probably be the same price as the new marker is. So I don't know if they're planning on coming out with refills later, but for now, there's options. So I'm taking the darker one. I am coloring the top of the heart. Close to, but not all the way up to that line, because it's going to bleed just a hair when I do, not bleed, but it's going to roll just a little bit when I put this lighter one on it. And I'm going to use that to blend, and I don't want it to go outside the line. So I'm going to use the lighter one to touch up around and to blend. And these blend best when they're wet. So if you were to color that and leave it for a little while, it wouldn't blend quite so nicely. And I'm just doing this right on Whisper White, which is actually one of the preferred. It also works really nice on the Shimmer White. Okay. So next up, we are going to do the Daffodil Delight, 2 colors. I've got light and dark. And I'm starting with the darker again. I'm going to zoom you guys in just a hair so you can see this really closely. I am taking the darker of the 2 colors here, and I'm going around what I feel would be the areas that I want shaded. Okay, so it's roughly like this. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. And then taking the lighter of the 2 and coloring in the rest and blending that dark part, shading part that I just did with the lighter marker. And if you find you have a little bit of an area that didn't quite blend all the way in, or that you want a little bit more definition with the darker on, just add a hair more and then blend it again with your lighter color. And it's just, these are so fun they're really fun to work with, and they're so cool. They're beautiful. I mean, they're just beautiful color, and they match everything. They're awesome. Okay, so yeah, Rachel has a very great idea there, and she said it's best to color in smaller areas to prevent the drying, because once they start to dry, they're not as easy to blend. So now, this is my secret weapon on this card, and it is the ivory marker. And I'm going to go ahead and take that ivory marker and go over those little areas that I wanted darker for just it's a little bit darker and a different, I mean, it's a shade, it's a different shade, but it blends so nicely with these 2 colors for the effect I'm looking for this fortune cookie. It just made it pow, like the whole thing just jumps right off the page at you. Okay, so that is my fortune cookie tip right there. And next up, we are going to be doing a little bit of shadowing and shading. So I'm taking the lighter of the 2 smoky slates and the color lifter to start with. Again, I'm going to keep this kind of zoomed in here because I really want you to see really close up what's happening. Now, I am actually going to, okay, doing this the right way. I've got the color lifter and the smoky slate, and I'm lifting some of the color off the tip of the smoky slate because I want it to be really soft, really light here for a little bit of shading around our box. And you got to do that fast too, because it doesn't stay on it doesn't stay on the color lifter long. So you got to get that in there really fast to get that effect. But it's a very soft and light shading technique. So if you would like it to be a little bit more defined, a little bit darker, then take some of that same marker and just touch up some of the areas where you want it to be just a hair darker, and then go back in and pull it with the color lifter to give you a little bit more shading on there. And I'm actually just going to go ahead and, whoops, make sure I do that the right way. Blend some of that in just a little bit there. So that just makes it jump. It really makes it jump off of the card at you. So the very last piece of this card that I'm going to color is this handle. So I'm going to start with the darker of the smoky slate. So I was working with the lighter. Now we're going to work with the darker of the 2. And I'm going to do the very bottom of the handle of our takeout box and the right hand side. And then I'm going to take the lighter and blend that up. Not all the way. I left a little bit of white space in the middle so that you can kind of really see. It makes it look very dimensional. It makes it look very cool. All right, and that is my Fortunate to Know You Coloring 101. So this is and those are the Stampin' Blend markers. Again, the details are on my blog at the link in the video's description. Now we're going to do a little bit of assembly. So I'm going to go ahead and, I don't know what's happening here. Okay, sorry, my iPad started acting up. You knew something was, oh, thanks for the hearts. You guys are awesome. I love you guys. I am just, whoops, that wasn't quite straight. I'm going to just layer that on some Calypso Coral, which was the color of the Stampin' Blends that I used. And then layer that on a crumb cake card base. And the last piece that I've got here is we're going to pull back in our little fortune, our actual fortune from the fortune cookie, and put a Stampin' Dimensional, which is like a little foam pop dot on one end, and it's the end with the your on it, not the end that we cut off. Okay, so that's going to stand up, and then I'm going to take a mini glue dot, one of these mini glue dots, and stick the other end to a mini glue dot because I want this one end to be flat, and I'll show you why. We're going to stick it so it looks like it's popping out of this fortune. See how it's popping right out of that fortune cookie? So we want one end to be up and dimensional, but we want one end to be flat so it looks like it's coming, and that's why I cut the line right off there, so it looks like it's coming right out of that fortune cookie. And your fortune is just your birthday. It's a birthday card, so your birthday fortune is coming right out at you. All right, and that is our card. So these were our 2 cards that we created on today's class. I hope you guys enjoyed them. Thanks for sticking with me. Sorry about those technical difficulties in the beginning, but hey, gotta have some fun. And again, you can get this free PDF on my stampwithtami.com blog. And just a little heads up, this is my last video, my last scheduled how-to video of the year. I will be taking some time off next week. My son's home from college, and I'm hoping to spend some time with the family and get a little R&R so we can get right back in on December 30th. We have a live card swap Linda and I will be doing, and then we have all kinds of, Linda and I will be back with the Stampin' Scoop on January 3rd with the kickoff of the new catalog. So that's just why I hope everybody has some happy holidays. But that's a little bit about why I'll be off next week, and hopefully you guys will get to spend some time with your families as well this week. I now have some giveaways for you guys. So if you left a comment here, you are entered to win, and we're going to hopefully, oh crud. Of course we're not going to do this. Okay, hold on one second. Let me see if I can get this fixed without too much problem here. All right, so we are going to go. I'm just trying to get the the drawing site up here so that when I draw the prizes, you guys can see your names. All right, so let's see if that worked for you guys. Okay, here we go. It did. I think you guys can see it now. Yay! All right, so we're gonna pop over to this one, and we might have to log back in there because we had a little delay. Oh no, it's not going to log us out. Yay. Okay, so here we go. Oh, 400 comments. Woo! I guess you guys found me. Thank you. I have trained you well on how to find me if there's a false start. Okay, here we go. The winners. So the 2 I'm doing right now are, the first one will be Amazing You, which is a brand new upcoming celebration stamp set. Can't even get this yet unless you're a demonstrator. And that one goes to, good luck to all. That one goes to Suzanne Gebhardt. And the second one is the half full stamp set. And that one goes to Kathy Vaverka. All right, so Suzanne and Kathy, be sure to fill out the prize claim form. If you are not Suzanne and Kathy, don't fret. I still have, let me see if I can find it. There it is. I still have a stamp set for you. You could still win this. I'm drawing the winner on January 5th, and it will be posted on my stampwithtami.com blog, as well as I'll list it here, as well as I will send it out in the newsletter. But it's always good to check one of those places to see if you have won something. You only have 2 weeks to claim your prize, or I give it back away again. All right, and I hope everybody has a wonderful holiday, and I will look forward to seeing you guys all on December 30th for some fun live card swapping, and then on January 3rd with the Stampin' Scoop, where we kick off our new season and a brand new catalog. Happy